Y'all ain't heard nothing like this before. Beat him in the head with this trilogy. Who dropped this for a certain demographic? Turn it up, blast it. This is gonna be a classic. Fact. Not to run it.
Egumbas and paisans, Gumadas, everybody included. Welcome to episode 27 of Gangsters and Cigars. I'm your host, Bobby Bacala, my sidekick.
Shirtless Mike, what's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
Good, doing good. First, apologies before I give my shout out to our sponsors. Had an episode planned to put it out there, put out the teaser. It was going to be a great episode. Unfortunately, I was advised by powers to be that the investigation that I was a part of is still national security. So we had to cancel that episode, which was going to be tonight. In reference to that case, I apologize. You know, I feel like it's the UFO cases, or the JFK case. So my apologies. Tonight's going to be just as cool, though. We're going to talk about working undercover, what it takes, how to get in, what do you have to do, all the preparations, and then scars and shit that you get when you're done with a deep cover. So, before we get started, shout out Tommy Law, Rock and Roll Circus in St. Augustine, Tommy and his beautiful wife, Marima. They're in New Orleans at the present time. Have a blast, guys. To my dear friend, Steve Sage with Bully's Tattoo in DeBerry. Prayers go out to your mom in England across the pond. We're all praying for her. Alfie with Tangiers. He's got a new show coming up. Check it out. Keith Corman with Bad Influence Customs. Just got through doing some wrenching on my bike. Came out great. That should pretty much encompass. And you can never forget Lou here at Smoke Rings, who is the prince enough to let us host our show right here from Smoke Rings. I'm going to have Mike tell you about some stuff that's coming up. I'm going to have a cut and light coming up here soon. We'll announce it. I'm pretty stoked about it. I'm also going to have my line of custom fedoras that I'm just finishing up on. They'll be for sale here as well with my cigars. It's going to be a blast. We're working out the dates. And then Mike, who's the man, will put that out here so you all can see, and we'll make a special announcement.
Most definitely.
So, getting back to Mike, before we get into the cigar we're smoking tonight. Mike was out being an ambassador out in North Carolina this past week. So, who are you with?
I was at an event called Charleston Smokeout, which it's a big GTG, Good Time Gang. It's an affiliated cigar club event. It was all weekend, 4 days, 2 parties every single day.
I've seen you, man. You were partying your ass off, dancing.
Lots of fun. I was all up in the videos, dancing, everything.
You were shirtless.
And I was shirtless, man.
You were, man.
I mean, the weather was, during the day, it was nice. Once the sun went down, it kind of, I had to put a shirt on at that point, because it got a little cool over
there.
You,
but you were in your moment. You were in style.
There was one party that I was not shirtless at. I was at the real upscale club and everything. And nobody was, dressed casual. Right. Everyone was dressed comedy. They had the brim. They had the suits.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
It was a derby party, and there was one lady, she had on her brim, she had a horse on the side of her brim. She made it herself.
Very nice.
And it was a lot of fun. I had a nice Airbnb. My buddy Hollywood provided us ambassadors with an Airbnb. And
shit, I'm gonna have to send the boys some pictures of my my brims, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this is like the original.
No, I got them, Mike. I know what you're talking about. I make them. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun, man. It was 4 days. This is my first time driving outside of the state of Florida on my own.
Like a big boy.
Yeah, I've been on a road trip, but not the sole person responsible for driving. So it was a little over 6 hours. A lot of fun.
That's the main thing, is you had a really good time. It seemed like you were with some really, really cool people. I'd love to meet some of them sometime. I was watching some of the videos. They're like, yeah, I can hang with them.
Anytime you go to Charleston, just let me know. I just got to make one phone call, and you're good.
You missed my birthday.
Well, I did wish you happy birthday.
You did wish me happy birthday. You missed it. I was a little disappointed I didn't have my boy with me on my birthday, but we'll absolutely make up for it. All you guys who sent me birthday wishes, thanks so much. One of our past guests that were just on, Keith Hill, Fortune Fire champion. He made it all the way from Sea to Key for my birthday party. Lots of love to Keith and his beautiful wife, Janice, as well. Thank you to St. Michael's Legion, LEMC, for throwing the party at our clubhouse here as well. So, without further ado, what are we smoking, brother?
We're smoking the Cabaguan by Tatuaje, which can I use a lighter because I haven't lit my cigar yet, like a rookie. But it's okay. I'll see how it's done. So this is a Cabaguan, which this is a nice medium body cigar, and I forgot to look up the type of tobacco in it. So if you give me a second, while I'm doing that, I'll have Bobby tell you about what he thinks of it so far, and then I'll kind of give a breakdown of the tobaccos.
So it's a light to medium, more on a medium drag. It's in layman terms, it's a dirty smoke, but what I mean by a dirty smoke, it gives you that earth notes, that dirt notes, a little bit of cedar, definitely heather, definitely some leathery components to it. It's a smooth smoke. Nice draw. What wrapper is on
it's
here?
It's an Ecuadorian Connecticut wrapper. It's Nicaraguan binder and filler, I believe. That's what. But I was actually going to say Ecuadorian Connecticut, but luckily, first website I found did the breakdown. It's Nicaraguan binder and filler, and this is really good so far.
And who makes this?
Tatuaje, Pete Johnson from Tatuaje, aka Tattoo Pete.
Tatuaje.
Well, I mean that's what in Spanish tattoo. Tatuaje. Tatuaje is tattoo.
Cool smoke. The draw is nice on. It's not a heavy draw. It's got a little creamy. The more you smoke, you get a little bit more creamy taste to it.
That's the main thing that I like about this cigar is the creaminess. Like I taste other flavors and stuff, which you gave that opinion. I was about to talk about the creaminess.
Oh yeah,
this is something you can smoke first thing in the morning. You can smoke in the afternoon. You can smoke at night if you need something that's a little on the milder side, but not like smoking air.
This would be nice with a cafe con leche. It's got that. It absolutely has that. You want to pair it with coffee taste.
It pairs really well with coffee too.
Yeah. I can sit out in the back patio and look at the fucking ducks and shit, and smoke this, and have myself a cup of cappuccino.
Most definitely. I mean, this cigar is it's phenomenal. It's one of the few mild ones that Tatuaje makes.
Very nice. All right. So, thumbs up on tonight's smoke. I dig it. Never had one before. Absolutely love the creaminess of the cigar. I'm going to try it in the morning with a cup of coffee. Only because my palate, that's what it's pairing with. I'm sure it goes with anything you want it to, but to me, it's just like a morning smoke, and I dig it. All right, getting back to tonight's episode. So episode 27, and again, thank you all for continuing to watch, continuing to give us your input. We've been contacted by some people in California who may want to take this a step further. We'll keep you guys posted on that. And again, my apologies. It was meant with no malice. I was very proud of the investigation. I did want to share it. Somebody thought maybe I should second think doing that episode, which I did. So God bless. And again, I apologize. Tonight, we're going to delve into working deep cover. Now, there's undercover and there's deep cover. You can work undercover where you're doing some minimal narcotics transactions, or you're doing a reverse deal, which means that the police are selling the dope as opposed to the bad guys selling the dope, but you're still getting the bad guys. That'll be for another episode on how to do reversals and when the cops are selling the dope. But you can do some minor undercover work. Then there's deep cover. A lot of cops don't get the opportunity to work deep cover. It is absolutely an art form. It's like being an actor because you have to be an actor. You have to take on a role. You have to take on a persona. And if you fuck up on that role or persona, there could be some deadly consequences. So, I worked deep cover on two separate occasions on deep cover. When I mean deep cover, it wasn't at my home, didn't live with my wife, didn't see my first son born because I couldn't be around my family because of the type of work I was doing. So let's backtrack. I get contacted at the time by the sheriff and his staff while I was employed on the sheriff's department. And the FBI and ATF have a case that they want to present, and they want somebody to work deep cover. I was called in. I was asked if I was interested. I was young. I was gung-ho. I was full of piss and vinegar. And I was like, fuck yeah, let's do this. Didn't take into consideration that I had a very young wife at home. This was like an opportunity. My career came first. And I was all in. So you have a briefing. They sit you down. You have psychiatrists. You have the agents. And you have your representatives of your department. And they lay the case out in front of you. And they lay the targets out. What I mean by targets are the individuals who you are going to infiltrate in hopes that you make a case, an arrest. In this circumstance, the cases were going federally, not state. I was just going to be assigned to this federal case. Psychologist gives you a bombardment of tests, and he goes through everything that you may encounter and feelings you may have. That's step one. Sign on the dotted line. I know what I'm getting into. And we start. So I have handlers. And what I mean by handlers were agents from the FBI and the ATF. First thing is, you need a cover story. So I'm going to use, because it's funny and for namesake, and I will not give you my undercover names that I use, but McLovin. We all remember McLovin from the movie. Remember he had the DL. I even put it on the post. So I'm going to take the name McLovin. Now, when you take the name, you want to take a date of birth that is either familiar to you or a date of birth that is close to yours so you don't fuck up if you're being questioned about your date of birth. Okay? Yep. So you pick a date of birth, whatever, family member or date of birth close to yours or whatever it is. So you establish a name, you establish your date of birth, then you establish a location. So you need an address for your fictitious information. which is provided by the FBI or the ATF on a location where I'm going to live. Not with my family, where I'm going to live. Then, first step, I need documentation. Go down to Division of Motor Vehicle, and I ask for the supervisor of the DL Bureau. They're already aware that I'm coming, and they already have the paperwork from the government saying that they're going to supply me with a fictitious driver's license. Take you in the back room, take your picture, do your paperwork, they hand you your driver's license, out the back door you go. Step one, got my driver's license. Now we need credit cards. Okay, credit card issued in the name of my fictitious name, right? So, Bobby McLovin. I get my driver's license and my credit card. Next, I need a story. Well, where are you going to be from? There's really only one place that I can say that I'm from. So I pick a story, from New York, from Brooklyn, from wherever the hell in Brooklyn or whatever the case may be. But I need a criminal background. Because a lot of these cases that you work, some of these organized crime entities have people who work for police departments and law enforcement agencies, either in records or in dispatch, that are able to run names for their organization. That I ran into, by the way, so this happened. So I come up with, or should say ATF comes up with a criminal history. So now when you pull up my name and you run a criminal history on me, Bobby McLovin, Brooklyn, New York, and here's his criminal history. This is what he's done. This is what he was charged with. Now I got a package, right? DL, criminal history, birth certificate, social security card, and a criminal history. Because if you don't have that, you go into shit half-assed. Because some of these criminal organizations, one in particular, asked me for all of this information. So if I'm going to start hanging with them and infiltrating them and being part of them, naturally they want to make sure that I'm not 5-0, right?
Exactly.
They got to make sure I'm not po-po, I'm not 5-0, whatever the story may be. I don't carry an ID that says anything about law enforcement. But I do carry a firearm. Because, let's face it, all bad guys carry a firearm. What are they going to say?
Exactly.
So, carry a firearm, no other ID. Have all my information, and then we start and doing the operation. So we did a federal case, and we ended up seizing, I'm not even going to tell you the business. We ended up seizing a business. When we seized this business and arrested the owner of this business, we said to him, we will go to the federal prosecutors and say that you are giving us assistance in a larger case. You're going to have to stay, show us how to operate the business, and then we'll remove you. So now my partner and I are operating a business. So now we're employing bad guys to work our business. And in between doing this, selling and buying guns, dope, and some other things. So during the course of this, we end up making 45 arrests, white slavery. We bought women. We bought our own stable meaning women for prostitution, dope out the ass, and BMWs and Porsches and shit we were seizing, and full automatic machine guns, and 2 storage units filled from the bottom to the top with ammunition and full automatic weapons and grenades, which was part of this case. All right? Now, Here's where the sticky wick comes in. You're getting close to these people, and you're breaking bread with these people on a daily. Well, you build up feelings for some of these people, and you get to know their families and their children as you're working. So the case was 2 years, okay? 2 years is a lot of time to see your own family occasionally and to try to maintain your decorum on exactly what fucking side you're on. Because now, I'm considering some of these people my friends. And I'm hanging out with them on a daily. Nothing to do with my family. And you get involved. You may get involved with some of the ladies, because if you don't, it's not a woke show, so I apologize. There's two things. You're either gay or a cop. So if you're not fucking somebody, there's an issue. So that comes into play. May have had a couple of issues while that investigation was going on with some ladies. My apologies to my ex-wife at the time. I apologize. Apologized to her 15 years after we were divorced, by the way. But my apologies. I still have his son and daughter who I really don't discuss a lot with. But my apologies to your mom and apologies to you both. I love you more than life. Got to get a disclaimer out every once in a while. Anyway, there's a case out of California where an investigator was working undercover with a 1% motorcycle club at the time. And it's a book, it's an unbelievable read, and it's called Fallen Angel. And this guy was extremely in-depth and undercover and deep cover with them. He ended up not only committing several felonies, he ended up committing a bank robbery with them and then becoming addicted to heroin. Went to jail. So there's no, hey, you're going to get away with it because you're a cop. He got wrangled up. There was a lot of warning signs. They tried to get to him. He was just way too far gone. God bless him and his family as well. It's not an easy life to live. So you're working and you're privileged to certain things. You are witness to certain crimes. Okay? So to say I wasn't a party to, I would be a liar. I may have not committed them, but I may have been present and a party to. Now, as we all know, when it comes to the government, and so if they want something, they want someone and so forth, they know you got to break a few eggs to make an omelet, so to speak. Nothing insane, but crimes nonetheless. I was involved in a lot of violence to show exactly that I had cojones to run with these people. Shit, happened that way because I had to gain their trust. I had to make runs with them to gain their trust. Did my handlers know every step of the way where I was going and doing? Absolutely. Funny story. So the business we had, naturally they came in and hardwired the entire business. So the offices, everything was sound, everything was video recorded, everything. Kind of hard. You're sitting at your desk, you got some fucking chick who's blowing you, and you know that the feds have a link to all of the videos and everything else, and and banging her on the desk, and again, and I try to hold off for a while about that whole shit, and finally, because what some of these organized crime entities will do is they'll put these hot women and have them step up to you because they know if you're a cop, you're not going to blow a case and have sex. And if you're gay, they don't want nothing to fucking do with you. So you got to do what you got to do. Now, I could say if I didn't, something could have happened to me. Absolutely. But I get involved with this individual who was a dancer, and I got involved. In the meantime, I'm buying a ton of X and all kinds of shit from her. All right? But she's my girlfriend. But she's supplying me so I can sell back to the bad guys. You following me?
Yep.
All right. I didn't lose you?
No, you didn't lose me.
All right.
That's why I'm so quiet.
All right. So we're tight. I'm tight with some of the people that I'm working. So 2 years is coming up, putting all of the indictments and all the paperwork together. Shout out to my partner. I won't mention his name. He's retired as well. The greatest partner of all time. I love him to death. I'm not going to tell any stories that he got involved in. Just out of respect to him. Okay. So we're getting towards the end, and some paperwork is going down for indictment. So we know we're going to have to close the case eventually. So things getting really, really hot and heavy with this girl. And I know that if it doesn't end, the case is going to go to shit because I'm going to fuck up or she's going to get wind of something.
Yeah.
So I go to her. I give her a call. I said, meet me at the shop. She's all right. She meets me at the shop. And I sit her down and I said, we got to talk. And she's like, oh, yeah, is anything wrong? And I said, yeah. I said, we got to talk. And she said, what is that? I said, so I'm a cop and you've been in the middle of a federal investigation. And she starts laughing. And she goes, I never forget. She goes, are we going to role play? You want to play the cop? And I'm like, no, seriously. I'm a fucking cop. Open up the desk. Throw out my creds. And I start pointing all the cameras and everything else. So she starts screaming, fucking yelling, throwing shit in the office. I said, here's the deal. I am not going to charge you with the thousands of pills that you supply. But for the next 2 weeks, you need to keep your fucking mouth shut, continue to be my girlfriend. Or you're going to go away for about 25. That fucking simple. Starts crying. So the next thing that comes out of her mouth really floored her. She goes to me, so we're not going to be together anymore? And I said, well, no. I just got to telling you I'm a cop is the end of the case. And she goes, yeah, but you and I together, are we not going to be together anymore She goes, do you not love me? Because I'm absolutely in love. I don't care if you're cops because I love you. I'll do whatever you want. I'll sign whatever paperwork you need me to sign. I'll help you with anything. Please don't leave me. I'm a young, good-looking motherfucker at the time. Just kidding. And that was the first of, and I'll tell you the sequence. First that I sat there and my stomach sank and felt sick to my stomach and I felt like a fucking scumbag. And I'm like, I've been with this chick for basically 2 years. And did I have feelings for her? I was with this chick for 2 fucking years. Yeah, I had feelings for her. Was I in love with her? No. Did I care about her? Yes. I still loved my wife. It was a very confusing time, but at that moment in time, I felt like a piece of shit. So I contacted the powers that be and told them the deals I made with her. And I said, before this goes any further, I need it in paper by not only the state attorney, the U.S. attorney, that she won't be prosecuted. I need it. So I got the paperwork, presented it to her that she wasn't going to be prosecuted, that she would have to be a witness to the case. Still couldn't get out of her head that we weren't going to be together. So I was drinking heavily at the time because I didn't do dope. I always told them that because I am more of an earner and I'm more interested in making money and dealing with money, that I didn't want to fuck my head up with product. But I'll drink with you until I fucking pass out. So I may or may not had a slight drinking problem at the time. Started drinking more after that night. And I remember sitting, my partner and I went for a ride. We went down South Florida to clear our heads for a little. I remember sitting there and saying to him, I didn't really think that all of this would affect me if, in the beginning it was like, oh man, this is so fucking cool. I'm going deep cover and I'm going to do this and I'm going to work that and fuck them. They're all scumbags. They're all pieces of shit. But that's not the feeling I had. Now the roundup start. Okay? SWAT teams fucking blowing up houses, making arrests, arresting people at the shop and going crazy. So there was one guy in particular who we became very close with, him, his wife, and her kids. She ran the stable for us. So I'd go over and see them at their place all the time. She'd come over, she'd give me a kiss, kids would come and sit on my lap, hand me a beer, she'd cook me dinner, ask me if I want to go in the back room, if she needed to take care of me, which I never did. And then she'd ask, do you want me to call one of the girls to come over, whatever you need? No. So we go there. And I tell the powers to be, I said, this is something that I need to take care of. My partner and I get there. Open up the door. Cold Heineken on the table for me. And she's making, in a skillet on the stove, she's making me a steak. I said, I'm not that hungry. And so I'm sitting there and drinking the beer. My partner's sitting there drinking the beer. And I say to this individual, again, I'm not mentioning nobody's name. I'm not mentioning fucking cases. Out of respect for everybody involved. So I said, look, got to talk to you. I said, I'm a fucking cop. and you've been a target of an investigation, federal investigation, state and federal investigation. So he looks at me and he goes, "You sure are a silly motherfucker. Take my ID and my credentials and throw them across." Never forget, man, he had a round kitchen table. I throw them across the round kitchen table. One of his kids is standing on the side of me, calling me uncle. And his wife has just stopped what she's doing at the stove. And he looks at my creds and he calls me by my fictitious name. And he goes, "Dude," he goes, "where'd you get this shit?" He goes, "And wherever you got it." He goes, "Tell me, because I want a set to hang on the wall." And I says, "Yeah, you're not getting this." And at the time I had a wire and everything else on, because when I gave the signal, the team were going to come in and make the arrest.
Yeah.
I said, "You're not getting this." So I tell him, and I said, "Seriously," I said, "the minute I give the code," I said, "team's going to come in here," I said, "and you're going to go to jail with your wife." So he starts fucking crying, and he says to me, "I trusted you more than anyone I've been involved in." Now remember, this guy was a murderer. He was hardcore. From Detroit. Didn't fucking play. And he's sitting there crying, saying, "You're my brother, you're my brother, you're my brother." And the kids don't know what's going on. And his wife starts fucking crying and saying, "Please tell me, not you." And now, the mother grabs the kids, and the kids fucking bawl, and they don't know what's going on. They just know their mom and dad are bawling, okay? DCF is waiting because they're going to take custody of the kids. Now I'm absolutely sick to my fucking stomach. And he goes, "I don't want nobody touching me or arresting me but you." He goes, "You fucking do it." He goes, "You fucking did this. You fucking did it." And so I gotta call the team in anyway. He goes, "I'm telling you right now." He goes, "If you don't want the shit to hit the fan, you fucking do it. You look at me in the face. He goes, you read me my motherfucking rights. You put the fucking handcuffs on me, and you fucking drag me out in front of the kids to pull you on." So my partner's looking at me, and later on he goes, "You turned fucking completely white." So I give the signal. They come in, and I stop. And I go, "Look, put your weapons down. Give me a set of handcuffs. Read him his rights. Handcuff him." And I go, "Gonna leave the kids." DCF. I said, "I'm gonna leave the kids." She's a great mother. I understand she was involved in all kinds of shit. I'm gonna leave the kids with the mom until we can get a family member down the road to work this out. So I left. I couldn't do it. So I left the kids with the mom. She goes to jail later on, but we worked something out with the kids. All right. Scars and what happens at the end of the case. 3 months after the case, I didn't have to come to the department. I didn't have to go to the sheriff's department. I collected a paycheck, had to go see shrinks, had to take piss tests, and I had to make sure that, well, I shouldn't say they had to make sure that I was physically fit for duty mentally. So you build up a trust, you build up a friendship, and it's probably, and I could say this, and I'll have fellow cops out there, and you could think that I'm a fucking asshole or a dick. Call me whatever you want. It's like one of the biggest betrayals you can do to a best friend. It's like me sticking you in the fucking back and you not knowing it's coming. Because technically, were they bad guys? Yeah. Was I the good guy? Depends on how you look at it. Yeah. Did I have a job to do? Yes. But at the end of the day, 2 years, I call these people friends. I call a particular person my lover, my girlfriend. And then to betray them, it took me quite a while after me even going back to work. I was put in different assignments and stuff like that, but it took me a while to shake exactly what transpired. Because again, in the beginning, young cop, piss and vinegar, I'm going to make a motherfucking name for myself. And that was that was a driving force. Again, unfortunately, for my brothers and sisters out there who have worked deep cover and undercover, I don't have to tell you about the scars and emotional scars that you get at the end of these investigations. Now, what did I get at the end of this big investigation? I got a fucking letter from the government and a letter from the sheriff, letter of a commendation, and a ribbon that goes on my uniform. Woo! So, I say that the experience, looking at experience was worth it because I could say that I did something that, 98% of cops don't get the opportunity to do. So that absolutely was cool. The repercussions and ramifications and shit. During that time, they tried me by putting me in a room and telling me they were going to kill me. They said it a couple of times, "You're a fucking cop, we're going to kill you," just to see how I would react. And I ended up having to put somebody in the hospital over that to show that I was who I was. But again, physical scars and shit for you guys out there who've done it before. It's emotional draining. So, all your fictitious shit gets sent back. Now, during this investigation, backtrack a minute, I had this trooper that would fuck with me all the time. All the time. So, anytime a law enforcement agency would run my tags, my name, my license, or anything, it would red flag it to the government, right, to the task force, and red flag it to my agency saying that somebody's looking at it. We had an individual that worked in the records department that we ended up arresting that was actually running information as well. Okay, so I ended up getting arrested. And I'm not going to mention the agency that it was a state agency. It wasn't FHP. They were arrested, along with the group I was with. It's not like I can say, "Oh, hey, hold on a minute."
Yeah.
Go to jail. They actually made bond for me to get me out because you don't want to break that cover. Yeah. So, shit like that you had to deal with, not to break cover, not associating with no other law enforcement agencies. I mean, guys that I knew, I couldn't hang around with them. I couldn't be with them. And then the 3 months was a recovery period to change my appearance again, get my head straight, and then gradually go back to the agency. It's a funny story to end this, and it's just interesting. So now you know how somebody feels, not only working deep cover, but how you feel about when you betray people that took you into their homes and considered you friends. It's not a glorious thing, guys. It's not like the fucking movies. Donnie Brasco is pretty close. He was an FBI agent. If you follow his story, FBI ended up fucking him pretty good. But all the respect out to Donnie. Anyway, I'm in the car with my wife. We're driving, and I'm at a light. Jumping out of a car is the girl. She jumps out of the car and she's screaming, I love you, I love you, I don't care, you're married, I love you. So now I'm looking at my wife and I say, she's like, who the fuck is that? And I'm like, some crazy fucking chick that I arrested. I don't fucking. So I haul ass. She's standing in the middle of the fucking road, still waving her hands and shit. Never heard from her after that again. My wife didn't make me forget for quite a while, but it was just a wild. That was one of the cases. The other deep case that I worked was extremely wild, but I didn't have the emotions that I did on this case because I was only a year in and out. So it wasn't like he built up those bonds. This one here will always leave that lasting impression on me. So, to that note, thank you for letting me share my personal feelings with you. And I hope you take away a little bit that, even though you're a cop and tasked with certain things, that, at the end of the day, we're just as human and have a heart like everybody else does. Even talking about it now brings up some memories that aren't great. But when we said from the beginning, when we started the show, that I was going to be frank with you guys, I was going to be upfront with you guys, we were going to talk about all kinds of different things. And thank you again for the privilege of sharing that. Thank you, Mike, for sitting and listening to that story. I don't know if you have any questions for me.
Man, not a whole lot of questions. Like, the main thing probably that comes to mind would probably be, so when you're, under in deep cover and everything, you're really not around your personal friends and family like that, or
No, not for 2 years.
Okay. That's wild. And then you have, like, how is it like trying to reconnect after everything ends?
You mean with family?
Yeah, family, personal friends.
It was strained, but not with the guys that I worked with because they thought it was cool as shit. Yeah. I didn't get into everything with them, but family was strained. So my ex she's my ex now, naturally, but my wife at the time was pregnant with my son, my oldest.
Yeah.
She gave birth in a couple of counties away from where I worked. And I wasn't there till after because I was working a case.
Yeah.
And then I was in the room, gave birth, seen my son, and I got notification that I had to leave to do something with the case. So I left her there, and I was gone again. So reconnecting, let's see. It wasn't easy, and rightly so. I don't blame her for some of the anger. On the flip side, she was 100% a fucking cop's wife. And what I mean by that, had my back through all of the shit, being away, and everything else. And it was hard for her. She was young, man.
Yeah.
So when we got married, she was a kid. And literally. So when I started dating her, she had just turned 19. She was best friends with my niece who has passed. They were best friends through high school. And I was already a cop when I met her. And she's like, oh, we're going to go out and get married one day. Joking.
Yeah.
Well, so we got married. She was very young. But I'll give credit where credit is due. She stood behind me even though I was a fucking piece of shit. So, yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
Yeah. And, those are the two main things I think about. I think we pretty much covered it all. So it's always interesting to hear real life stories.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I like, every once in a while I'll run into somebody who has done the same things or worked that circle, I should say. And it's interesting because when we sit and talk after all of the war stories about, oh, yeah, I did this, this was so fucking cool, and then you sit there and then you look at each other and go, yeah, but you know what, though, it's fucking pretty fucked up now. So yeah, but thanks for asking the question. I appreciate it.
No problem.
That being said, we are going to have a guest next week. I'll hit you guys up. I'll make a little teaser. I'll let you know. We'll keep you abreast of when my cut and light. So it's going to be the Hitman Cigars and Fedora, custom fedoras. We're going to have them here at Smoke Rings. I'm hoping to have our fans here to see Mike and I. Let's see if I can talk to Lou and see if I can get Mike to be shirtless.
And it's my day off.
I'm going to ask if it's Mike's day off. I'm going to ask. Come by, man.
Yeah, Thursdays are my day off, so that's when we do cut lights on Thursday.
Spend some time with us. Ask me questions. I'd be more than happy to answer them. If there's something that I can't answer or I am uncomfortable answering, I'll let you know. But pretty much, as you can tell, I'm pretty fucking transparent. All our love out to our sponsors. Thanks again. Please hit the likes. If you got a question about this episode, get on here, man. Ask me the question. If you want to see a cigar, you want us to evaluate a cigar that you guys have been interested in, let us know, and we'll fire one up if we have one in the house. If we don't, we'll find one. And again, may God bless. Thank you again. My apologies to my family. I love each and every one of you. Thank you for putting up with my bullshit through the years. Thank you to my wife, Dawn, who listens to this shit and shakes her head. But, as she says, it's BD before dawn. And I thank her as well. So we'll end it the way I always end.
I was about to say something, man.
Go, man.
I was about to tell
Jump
you.
Jump in.
I was about to tell you, don't forget to end it the way we're supposed to.
Oh, no, I don't. I'll never forget, man. So.
It's better to be at the table.
Or never be on the menu.
Yes, sir.
God bless. See you all next episode.